TMK Politics Now, with your host, TheMaximusKane. Unfiltered, reliable, fearless.
It is Thursday, January 29, 2026. There's a lot of news to get to, so let me get to the first one. And what happened this morning is the DOJ, Donald Trump's DOJ, and Mr. Magoo and the FBI went and raided a Fulton County, Georgia warehouse for voter rolls from the 2020 election. And I know what you're thinking. Why the fuck are they still talking about the 2020 election? Well, they're trying to prove purposeful disorder, which they're trying to show some kind of fraud that happened, and that's why Donald Trump didn't win the 2020 election. Now, there is something called a 22-month rule in Georgia, and it comes under 52 USC 2000. Well, sorry, let me do it this way. 52 USC 20701, and it's a legal requirement to retain and secure these records for only 22 months. So these voter rolls in this warehouse needed to be protected for 22 months. Literally have guards outside watching this warehouse for 22 months, which they did, because now it is 40 months that has passed. As a matter of fact, it's been 62 months since 2020's election. So they have way surpassed the 22-month rule. Once the 22-month rule is over, the 23rd month, anybody could go in there. A fucking dummy could go in there and write with a fucking crayon all over it, take stuff out and put stuff in. Somebody could take a fucking letter out and put a Dear Santa letter in there. Dear Santa, I want this for Christmas. Or a janitor could go in there, clean the room and then put something in there. He could steal a box. You can take these boxes and now you can go into court. I mean, you could take these boxes and it's like if you have a shitload of newspapers that you own over the years, not knowing why you would do that, and then start covering the windows because you just went crazy and you think everything is coming after you and you're fucking paranoid out of your fucking mind, and you start plastering them over the window. You could do the same shit with these because they don't mean anything anymore. They're no longer protected legal documents. So you could take those boxes and the papers, go to a nice campfire, set them on fire, and enjoy some marshmallows or hot dogs over the fire and enjoy yourself for a nice weekend. That's how important those fucking boxes and papers are. So if I'm a lawyer and there's somebody sitting across there, now I've studied law for 30 years. I got 166 on my LSAT. So I could have gone to law school, just didn't fucking feel like it. And if I'm a lawyer and I'm going in and I see 700 boxes, I'm going in with one folder and one piece of paper in there with two questions. One, why the fuck did you wait so long? Well, I might not say fuck because the lawyer might not like that. I mean, the judge, but you never know. Judge might like that. Why the fuck did they wait 40 months, now 62 months since the 2020 election for all this? And there was an audit done for this county where they counted the ballots from the machine. They counted it by hand and put it back in the machine. And guess what? Same fucking result, no matter what. And he wants to prove fraud. Well, if he wants to prove fraud in the 2020 election and the 2025 election, well, 2024 to 2025, there was fraud, but the people that were found were people who were voting for Trump, and some of these people that were voting for Trump and then voting for their dead relative as well. And he's looking for that, which is called ghost votes. And he's looking to see if any immigrants voted, illegal immigrants who, by the way, can't vote. They have no way of voting whatsoever. They need proof to go and vote. They don't have that. So I would go in with one and ask two questions. Why the fuck did they wait so long for this to be brought up when they could have asked for another audit? And although Trump wasn't president, he could have asked, believe it or not, if Trump would have asked Biden, can you do an investigation? You know what? Biden probably would have said yes. Why not? He probably would have said yes. So I would have asked, why has it been 40 months now, 62 since the 2020 election? And how do we know? How do we know that those documents in those 700 boxes are the original documents from 2020? How do we know they haven't been changed? How do we know that somebody hasn't changed what's in there? We have no way of knowing that because after 22 months, the video feeds for inside the warehouse are cut off. The guards are gone because there's no longer a need to guard them. And there's something called the Purcell principle. And this is what I would do if the judge, first of all, the judge has a smell test, and the judge would probably say the same thing. Yeah, why the fuck did they wait so long? And are those really the real documents? Because judges aren't stupid. Trust me. It doesn't matter whether they were appointed by anybody, whether they were appointed by Reagan or they were appointed by Bush, Clinton, Obama, or even Trump. Some of them can smell this bullshit a mile away. There's something called the Purcell principle as well. And I'll tell you why that this is contradictory to what they're doing, and this has nothing to do with fraud. And I'm going to tell you that in a moment. And I'm going to try and make this as short as possible. I know it's over 5 minutes already, but the Purcell principle is a Supreme Court doctrine that prohibits the federal government from changing election results too close to an election. It's based on the idea that last-minute legal shifts create mass confusion for voters and chaos for election officials. This has nothing to do with fraud. Not one bit. You know what it has to do with? The failure of governments from states like Indiana, Kentucky, that have decided to not redistrict their maps. Indiana had Republicans and Democrats in a bipartisan move to not redistrict their maps. This was, let's talk about real quick, California Prop 50 was challenged in court and it was thrown out. The reason it was thrown out is because they did it a different way. While Texas had all their Senate and House of Representatives redistrict their map on their own, Prop 50 was done by the people. And when it was challenged in court, it was dismissed because California did it by letting the people decide. That is what made it so important. Once the people decided, there was nothing that they could do because they did it a different way. And then in the other red states that Donald Trump wanted the redistricting done, it wasn't. This has nothing to do with fraud. It has to do with the failure to have to have Republicans that he no longer controls, or who no longer give a fuck what he thinks because he's a piece of shit, to redistrict and do what he says. To look at him and say, no, we're not doing this. You don't tell me what to do. Or for him to say, I'm telling you to do this or I'm going to primary you. I don't give a fuck. Primary me. I don't give a fuck. The last person that tried to act like Donald Trump, actually there's a couple, but Carrie Lake didn't win. There's a couple others, don't remember, but the last people that tried to be Donald Trump's clone, they didn't do so well in their elections. They got fucked, and they deserved it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll see you in the next video.